Good morning. What's up, everybody? The lighting is a little crazy today. Anywho, I wanted to come on and talk briefly about victim blaming. So I was having a Facebook discussion with an older gentleman, and he was talking about Ben Carson and how Ben Carson was basically a sellout. I'm paraphrasing, but he's saying, oh, you know, he had a prominent career as a neurosurgeon, and now he's a sellout because he works for this gentleman called him the Orange Weasel. So he was criticizing Ben Carson because because HUD was, the budgets were cut. Doesn't mention why they were cut, doesn't mention any of that, but you know, of course, if the budget is cut and you're a black guy and you're working under a white president, or because, I don't know, specifically President Trump, or maybe specifically because he's a Republican, I'm pretty sure, then he loses all credibility, because, you know, if you're black, then you cannot be a conservative, you cannot be a Republican. You have to think exactly how the majority of other black people think, and if you do not, therefore you have lost all credibility, regardless of if you are a neurosurgeon and have made pretty decent choices throughout your entire life. You are now, all of that goes out the window because you don't agree with the majority of the black thought in regarding politics. So my comment to him was, you know, you are essentially subsidizing failure, meaning you are paying people to fail. The worse you do, the more money I'll give you. And I likened it to, if you tell a child, bring home D's and F's and I'll give you $10, what do you think the child's going to do? Even though they know they could do better, because they're getting $10 to bring home D's and F's, they're going to be more inclined to bring home D's and F's. I mean, that's just how human nature works. There are higher principles at work that, I don't know, we just don't seem to be able to grasp. So anyway, of course I was called, you know, ignorant and all these other things. And I'm like, okay, you know, I'm a big girl. You can call me names, but, you know, I will maintain my dignity and who I am and not do that to you. And I said, respectfully, where am I wrong? He went on to say that I was victim blaming. I mean, I don't understand how I'm willfully ignorant, but you don't pose any opposition to my argument. You just continue to call me names and say, or to insist that now I'm victim blaming, with nothing in my statement blame the victim. It's simply stating a fact. If you pay people to fail, that's what they're gonna do. Anyway, my point, I want to talk about victim blaming. So I was thinking about that. I was like, out of everything I said, you got victim blaming. In every Hollywood movie, every song, not every song, but you know, not every movie, every inspirational Hollywood movie, every inspirational song, we never are inspired by the people who remain victims. There are many victims. You know, throughout your life, you will be a victim of something, you know, and even if you live in a society and you've never directly experienced some type of instance of where you're a victim, even if you are the minority in a country, I don't care what country it is, whether it's for here, you know, they would say racism, or there could be a class, or, you know, finances. There are all types of different levels and different ways you can be a minority in a group. And so, I mean, so the fact that we are expecting everybody to be equal you know, on all those levels is absurd. You know, anyway, that's a whole other story. My point is, we always are inspired by the people who overcome their victimhood. We're never inspired by the people who, throughout the entire story, constantly complain about what happened to them. We're always told to, you know, no matter what happens to you, you don't have to let that hold you for the rest of your life. You don't have to let that instance or whatever thing that happened to you hold you down for the rest of your life. And my point is, when are we going to stop having the victim mentality so we can inspire others to overcome their instances, their you know, the bad things that have happened to them? So for the people who think that I remember there was a story that my mom used to tell us when I was a little girl about this woman that was raped. And, you know, people would always ask her, where did she get the courage to move forward, and how did she overcome, you know, such a horrible thing that happened to her? And she said, and I will never forget this, and I remember this from a little girl, she said, that man had one night of my life, and I refused to let him have another. I mean, if a woman who was raped can have that spirit of being an overcomer, and we can't have that as a people who don't experience nearly as much as a group, we don't experience nearly as much as you know, people did back in slavery and Jim Crow and things like that. We don't experience that. We have the power to control our destinies. We have the power to, God has given us a purpose. And that purpose did not come obstacle free. He gives you that purpose for you to go out and overcome. He says, I have overcome the world, so now you can too. He doesn't say, well, you know, God doesn't say, I've defeated everything except white people. Now, them, I don't know what you're going to do about them. Them, I can't do any. I can defeat all. I can defeat, you know, the biggest devil in hell, but I can't defeat white people. That's gonna be on y'all, you black folks. You know, I mean, God doesn't, he has defeated all sin. He has defeated all bad things. He has defeated all, but you have to claim the victory to be able to walk in it. You cannot live in the victimhood and expect for God to show up and, you know, pat you on the back when you're not walking in what he has purposed in you, and you just continue to just sit in your misery. You're not supposed to. He says you're more than a conqueror. So anything that you go through, not that there won't be obstacles, but you can overcome them, not to just sit in the victimhood. So it's not blaming the victim. It's saying, yes, I do realize this happened to you, but you can overcome it. For I have overcome the world. So that's my, you know, that's my take on the victim, blaming the victim. You know, especially as believers. I know everybody's not a believer, but for those of us who are, even if you're not, the principle remains the same. You can overcome things that have happened to you, and you don't have to let it overcome you. That is the point. That is the higher principle of the matter. It is not something that you have to live in every day. It is a choice to walk in that victim mentality. Yes, it can be hard sometimes to create different thoughts and to change the way you think and to change the way your outlook on life, and to, you know, to make different choices when you're accustomed to doing the same things, or you've been told that, you know, you are oppressed, or you have been, you know, even if someone like physically tries to harm you, if you survive, you are an overcomer. And you can take that strength, you can build upon that strength, not wallow in the feelings of victimness. So that's my quick take on that. You all be blessed. You are more than conquerors. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. We look to the hills from which cometh our help, not to Capitol Hill. So, you know, I just want to encourage you that no matter what has fallen before you, you can overcome it. Be blessed.